Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior.
Hola.
Ranty.
Hello.
Mark. He's on mute. Arwin.
Hello.
And Mark. He's still on mute. Never mind. Mark Dux is also joining
Hello.
us. Hello. Very good to have you all. How the devil are you all?
Super.
All good.
Excellent.
Midsummer. Hot.
Too hot.
Clear skies. No chemtrails.
Yeah, clear blue
there's
skies.
chemtrails today, yeah.
We've had clear blue skies for the last 2 or 3 days. Not a single straight cloud in the sky.
Nice, isn't it?
Just in case you aren't aware, guys, clouds aren't meant to be straight and flat. They're meant to be like fluffy.
Okay.
Well, 3 days ago there were some chemtrails, but since yesterday, I haven't seen any. Although I did see a commercial aircraft fly over so low that I could actually read the company logo on its wing.
I've seen that loads of times.
Yeah, but this is like not here. There's no airport here, so I was just wondering, like, why the hell was it flying that insane low?
Fine on you, Arwin. Checking you out.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I concluded too.
Well, I did have my shirt off, so maybe.
Something to be reported on then, clearly.
So Robert Wiggle says, remember, 99.95% of the time you can only see 7 to 9 miles across water. That's utter nonsense, Robert. What planet are you on?
66.4% of the time. Statistic has been made up on the spot.
Yeah, and 33.3% of the time, no one really listens anyway. Right, so I guess what we need to do before we start, we need to get, like, we're only on 83 people watching, right? We need to get this back up to at least the 100 mark. So that's right. Before we go into the Reds thing, let's do a bit of housekeeping, Nathan. What do you think?
Yeah, well, tell people in the audience that they need to share it, because otherwise it'll stay at exactly that number. So share the show, and then we'll do some housekeeping. Yeah, any signs of axial rotation? Anybody?
No.
Nope.
None.
Yes, there is actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There is what? Axial rotation or curvature?
Actual rotation.
Actually,
okay.
rotation.
Let's see some evidence for this then.
You want to see evidence of it?
You sound like a baller already.
That's just my assertion that there is actually.
Oh, right.
Oh, sorry. Irony.
I don't need evidence. I can just say that it's the truth.
You can say
Okay.
Right. So I'm not allowed to challenge it, but I have to just trust that what you're telling me is true.
That's right.
And keep it interrupted so he doesn't get a word in edgeways.
You just have to imagine it.
Or
All right,
produce
so
a spinning
that
top
one's...
and say that that's akin to the Earth spinning, therefore proving it.
Yeah, hang on. What we could do is we could apply what Thingy does. What's his name? The guy that came in and accused Jaren of being dishonest. What's his name? Awake Souls. We could do what he says. Well, you haven't proved that it's not.
So everyone of being dishonest.
Yeah, we could just apply what he does and say, well, you haven't proved it wrong, so it's okay.
His assertion, Arwin, that you are totally dishonest. You haven't disproved that, so that kind of proves it's true, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't disproved my, or even countered the very specific personal statement I made about his personal life in the past.
Oh, right. Straight to the ad homs, eh, Arwin? Nice defence.
No ad homs. Just an analysis.
Just about something personal about him personally, not ad hom at all.
No, it's just about what happened in his young life.
Let me just address Robert Wiggles in chat. He says, "Sleeping Warrior, I was quoting that moron from yesterday. I demand an apology, damn it." Well, come on, Wiggles. If you're going to quote somebody, you need to put it inside speech marks so that we know that you're quoting somebody. Or you could just do what Sean Huffer does and just make shit up and then say that we said it. So if an apology's due there, apologies. Not sure whether it is or not though, because there were no speech marks.
Easy done. I mean, we could do that today when we talk about red rhetoric. We could very, very easily misrepresent what he actually said. We won't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, literally, Sean Hufford is the best one for demonstrating how not to cite people's words. So bear that in mind when we deal with Reds. We could do it any second because there's like 100 in now. Because we could really destroy Reds with what he said, because we can take him out of context, we can cherry pick him, and we can present him in a way that was not presented at the time. And that's what Sean Hufford does to pretty much everybody. He does it to Jaren, he does it to me. Sean Hufford is the most incapable person to cite stuff accurately I have ever come across. Yet somehow he has a voice with these ballers, and they seem to think that he's got some kind of credibility, yet none of them ever call him out for getting stuff wrong, ever. It just seems to be swept under the mat. Oh, it's all right, it's only Sean.
Does he have a really good Oxford English accent?
No.
Oh.
No,
That's
he doesn't. He
sometimes
doesn't. He doesn't speak with adenoids in, and he doesn't sound very authoritarian or very nerdy. He just sounds like a bloke. But his citation for what things that people are supposed to have said is terrible, and not one baller ever calls him out on it. And I just find that abhorrent. It's like, come on, guys, the guy's not citing people accurately or correctly, yet you guys just sweep it under the mat. I think they use that skill of Sean's to give themselves content so that they can just laugh at people at times. Nobody ever really realizing that it's based on a whole total misrepresentation and taken out of context. But we could do that against Sean, against Reds in this hangout. Do you want to share screens, Nathan? We'll make a start.
Yeah, no worries. Just give me 5 seconds to get you up.
I just wanted to make mention again of yesterday how incredibly dumb Josh is, and I was thinking, like, what can I compare this with? And then I was thinking, yeah, you know what? Family Guy. He's actually Peter from Family Guy. How high is a 10-foot wall? Yeah, you don't know. How high is a 10-foot wall?
It's funny you should mention that.
It's Peter. It is Peter. Josh is Peter from Family Guy. He is stupid.
I agree.
It's funny you should mention it, because I did a short video before. I only released it about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, on that point, how tall is a 10-foot wall? And it's a really good video because it makes the point perfectly, which I'll not play now, but go and have a look at that on my channel. Shameless plug, but with that, we'll get straight back to Red's rhetoric. Nathan, we need a bit of background. How did you find out about this segment?
Someone just emailed me it.
Okay. I only found out about this maybe an hour ago, because Nathan told me about it late last night, but I was going to bed when I got it, and I thought, I'm not getting into that now. I'll go to bed, have a look at it in the morning. And then Nathan rang me and said, like, have you looked at it yet? And I was like, no, I've only just woke up. So anyway, I went and looked at it, and I realized the magnitude of this in terms of its overall importance. So what I'm going to do, I've spliced into it like numerous transitions and stuff for the bits that are important. And I'll stop periodically throughout it and basically talk about the nonsense that these guys are portraying. And the crescendo is probably the very, very end part, is this little moron down here with the Gandalf beard, because it's just his reaction overall that's terrible. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the red destruction, right? So here we go. This is the point that Nathan brought up, and it's brilliant.
So I'd like to mention one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Watson.
Okay, so your globe champion Mick West was on a Flat Earth channel on YouTube, Nathan Oakley, and he basically admitted live on stream, that his Earth curve calculator on metabunk.org is entirely the standard refraction, the hidden refraction amount on the Earth curve calculator is based entirely on assumptions. So whenever globe earthers are using this calculator to account for why they can see more, why they can see less, and because they're using this refraction, this standard refraction, the value of R, he admitted on stream, Nathan Oakley had him admit that it is based on entirely on an assumption, and there's no science behind it whatsoever.
Now, in the interest of copyright, I'll have to stop there just because I don't want to play too much of it without critiquing it. Notice how he was accurately able to recite the claim that's being made. He was actually able to recite it accurately so that these guys that are on the panel understood the point that's being made. In contrast to Sean, that can't recite anything accurately, so that everybody has a 3-hour hangout based on a misrepresentation. But this guy's reciting the point. He hashed his words a little bit in the middle, but he's getting the point across, and he's doing it accurately. Even though he made a hash of his words in the middle, he's still got the point across. So listen to what Red says in response.
Okay, so what's your argument?
Well, then this Earth curve calculator, which you guys use to debunk flat Earth claims, is completely bogus and full of shit.
And I agree. It's completely bogus and full of shit. It's based on a presuppositional law.
And Occam's razor.
Hang on. Let me go and do this.
Right, now listen to how Reds deals with this, right? Because what he does, he's quite smarmy, he's clever. This is intelligence, right? Got to give the guy credit. He's swerving the point that's being made completely by just admitting it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and not even attempt to defend this. I'm just going to say this. The calculator is complete horseshit, totally wrong. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It was strung out of someone's asshole without even a second thought in an attempt to deceive. How does this prove that the Earth is flat?
Now, see what he did there? What he did was he basically admitted it for the sake of the discussion, and then put it back into the ball in the court of the guy questioning him, saying, well, how does this prove that the Earth's flat? Well, it removes away from the whole topic the admission, which is that the curve calculator is a crock of shit. But what he's now done is put the ball back into his court and said, well, how does it prove that the Earth's flat? Well, it doesn't prove that the Earth's flat. But what it does do, as we've seen by the Google Earth simulated Earth thing that we all see, Google Earth, they denounce that, and now he's denouncing the curve calculator. What it does is it denounces the Metabunk curve calculator as a tool to demonstrate the curvature of the Earth. So it doesn't prove that the Earth's flat, but it does remove away the ability for these guys to prove or to claim that it's a sphere, because now we can't test it. Because if we assume and accept what he's just said, that the curve calculator is a crock of shit pulled out of somebody's ass, then it means that there is no tool anymore for accepting or for testing that we do live on a sphere. And obviously that creates a problem, because if we don't have the tool to be able to test it, now we're left with just trust. Well, we live on a sphere, therefore you just got to trust and accept that that's true. So it's not that we benefit from it, but it's that they lose massively from it, because they no longer have a tool. In addition to the Google Earth, they no longer have a tool that they can use to show that we live on a sphere, because it's been thrown in the bin.
Before you start again, I just wanted to add one more thing to that, which is to say Red's Rhetoric was questioning whether or not it would change anything in terms of proof of flatness. But we're talking about an Earth curve calculator. So the question is actually, how does this prove sphericity? And the answer is the same. It doesn't. However, you have used this, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting Earth curve calculator to prove the Earth is a sphere, Red. We've already called you out for it. Anyway, I'll sput out at that point.
But it's not just this one. It's all of the curve calculators, because they all presuppose that curve. So the GizHub one, anything that's to do with calculating a curve, all of them are guilty of it, right? All the models are guilty of it. All the web pages are all guilty of it. And anybody that's used these web pages to make that point is guilty of doing the exact thing that we're calling Reds out for, which is claiming that the Earth's a sphere based on it. So this is where we kind of have to appeal to the flat earthers that are watching, because we all know that they've all done it, right? And this is just one example that I'm about to show that I can think of off the top of my head. But we kind of need help with it, because we need to see other examples of ballers, prominent ballers, or even not prominent ones, but the bigger the better, where they've used any of the curve calculators, whether it be Metabunk or otherwise, to make the point that the Earth's got a curve to it, because these are the people that are misrepresenting it, and we need to know where all this information is, because we all know that it's all out there. They've all used it. But we need to collate these things and call them out. Now, we've started with Reds because I just happened to know where there was one. But it could equally be Slice Arcane. It could equally be any of them. So if there's any flat earthers in chat that know certain people have made certain claims with these curve calcs in any of their videos, please give us the link with the timestamp to it and let us look through it, because we'll call them out on it, because these guys are claiming that we live in a sphere based on it. But let me just play until we get to the transition. You can see the transition coming up.
How does this prove that the Earth is not a globe? All you're doing is saying that. Hang on, not done yet. All you are saying right now is that a calculator is wrong, but that does not, in any way, shape, or form, change the fact that the Earth is either round or flat.
And I agree, it doesn't prove either way, but it is a tool that you guys use to try and prove this nonsense that we live in a sphere.
And it doesn't produce any evidence for or against. You're actually arguing against the calculator. Okay, then if this tool is not accurate enough in which we can make predictions, then don't use it. I don't use calculators.
All right, so now I've got a little transition in, because I'll just play this last couple of seconds again. Listen to what he says.
Okay, then if this tool is not accurate enough in which we can make predictions, then don't use it. I don't use calculators.
So in this video of Reds, we've already cited this in the past. It's his Big Ben Power Station one from 2016, 1st of October 2016. He does exactly this. Claims that he doesn't use it, but then actually does use it. And listen to what he says at the end.
Up with the top section right here. Again, matching what we saw when we actually went there. And so that means that in reality, from where I was, this red line is where the horizon is. Now, because we already overlaid our image, we don't need to know where the distorting line is, so that can be ignored. Now, it is at this point that we need to bring up the Earth curvature calculator.
Right, so we've now got Red's using the Earth curve calculator. On this occasion, he's not using Metabunk, but he's still using a presuppositional R webpage that he claims he doesn't use. He claims that he never actually uses the calculators. Well, hey, this is horseshit. He's using it right now.
So my camera was about 4 feet over the surface of the water, and we were 19.25 miles away.
I think we've heard enough at that point.
That means...
What?
I think we've heard enough, don't you? We can see he's using the calculator.
Yeah, but listen to what he says right now.
Okay.
At 188 feet of that stack was hidden behind the curvature of the Earth. Was hidden behind the curvature of the Earth.
So he is using it to make the assertion that we live on a sphere, which is what they all do. All of them do that. So it's like, well, how far back do we need to go to get examples of this? And I don't remember every single hangout, but I do know that they all use it, and I'm pretty sure Nathan will agree, and everybody on the panel will agree. So it's like, well, all right, so let's we need more evidence. We need people to give us the information. So if you know of videos where specific people have made claims on these curve calculators that we live on a ball as a result, then we need to see it, because these are the people that we're calling out. And then it goes on. Let's see what else he said.
If we were in a court of law and I was citing absolutely absurd evidence, and it's that I'm innocent to prove.
Do you argue against evidence that was never presented to begin with?
So what he was saying there is that you can't bring up points that were never presented in the first place, but he has done this in the past. He has produced evidence.
Right. So this is after we have called him out for this. This is the problem. We're asking for retractions. These people, according to GeoStreber, somebody who's on their side, when you get something wrong, this is his standard, not mine, so I don't care. But he's on your side, right? So we'll apply GeoStreber's standard, which is to say, when you make a mistake, you should make a video retraction and link that retraction in the original video. That's what GeoStreber has said if you make a mistake. Reds has used a proof of nothing, begging the question, perspective omitting calculation that is based on the standard model of Earth, like they all are. They all do the same thing. They all give you the same result. An orthographic result that excludes perspective and begs the question, assuming R. Now, Reds has done this. We want retractions.
Yeah. And we want retractions because it's based on the presuppositional R. There is no science for the radius, and we've banged a drum about it long enough. People understand the point. And ultimately, these guys are denying that, well, now they're accepting, but they're denying the consequence of accepting that there's no evidence for a radius, because the consequence of it is that you guys lose your tool of the trade. You guys can no longer use the Metabunk curve calculator to prove anything, because everybody now realizes it's based on no science whatsoever, and by even using it, whatever answer you come out with, you're kind of indicating that we live in a sphere. Well, if you don't use it in the first place, then we don't live in a sphere. It's totally presuppositional. There is a little bit more, but I'm just conscious of the copyright element, Nate. So maybe we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, you've pretty much got the point. I just stopped sharing you actually because I was looking at what was on the aftermath, and I'm happy with what we've done. You know, we've critiqued what's there. We've said our piece. It's the same as we've said many, many times. These guys have got it wrong. The application of this maths is incorrect. So it doesn't matter where the source of the maths is. It's not Mick West that's at fault here. He has got this from the standard model. You know, when we asked him about it, where have you got the value from? Well, I just do the same as everybody else. I just use the standard model. That's where these values come from. It's no different to any other calculator. So we're not going to have any weaselly nonsense about this. They're all the same. They do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you use your own version of these calculations. They do the same thing. And they're wrong. They don't include perspective. They beg the question. They prove nothing. Yet it's been used time and time again by Sean Hufford, Paper Explanator, Negator XX, Gem Panda, Red's Rhetoric, all of these people, Sly Sparkane, the list goes on and on and on. And they all need to make retractions. GeoStreber, yourself, you have used these. You need to make retractions for your glaring errors.
Just by way of disagreement, I actually don't agree that Mick West has not done anything wrong. Yes, he's applied the official model, but he has done something wrong. But on the other topic point, the perspective point, he has to tell people that objects in the distance appear to be smaller than they are in real world, because they are. They are smaller than they are in the real world because we have an apparent size. We don't have an absolute size. So in response to the geometric calculations part of it, sure, he's just applied the narrative, maybe. But in regards to the application of the hidden value, he absolutely has made something wrong. He's not told people that perspective is a thing, and it's so convenient for him because it took us a while to spot it. But most flat earthers on their journey have realized that perspective is a thing because I've heard people saying it in the past. I've heard other flat earthers, prominent flat earthers, saying it. The only difference is they've never beat the drum about it, and I realized that the effect of it was huge. So, yeah, he has done something wrong. He's failed to tell people that when you apply the hidden value, you apply it to something that's smaller than what it absolutely is because of perspective. So
Right, exactly. It's perspective that rules. They're ignoring it, and that's basically the bottom line here, Anthony. I'm a bit conscious that we've got Ranty and Mark in the wings who have got some absolutely superb information, which I'm hoping they'll present to us. But while we've banged that drum for a good 20 minutes, I think it's probably time to yield to one or other of them, whoever's willing to go first.
Where you go, Mark?
I'm going first, am I? Yeah.
Yeah, you're up, Mark. If you're good with that.
Jolly good. Yeah. Can you share my screen?
Yeah, I'll turn you up a little bit as well.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you see a lighthouse there? Yeah.
Yep.
I drive past this many times a week. It's just a guidance into the Strangford Loch, and I've never seen a land behind it ever because it's so moist and wet and foggy in Ireland. And when I saw that last night, the land behind it, I didn't really think that anything of it other than it's just part of Ireland. However, when I got home and had a look at it, I had to go back to it and do a series of stitches, and all that behind it there. Can you see that, folks? Is that big enough?
Looks good. I'm just studying. If you can keep it as zoom back out again, and
okay,
perfect.
So that land, which I thought was just on the other side of Strangford Loch, a few miles, is actually the whole of that land behind it is the Isle of Man. I'm really gobsmacked by this. I've never seen it as clear. But anyway, that's not my punchline today.
Mark, would you mind showing me where you mean? Because I just rejoined and I couldn't see, and I didn't see your cursor identifying the land that you're referring to.
Okay, let's have a look. So I've opened the wrong thing. I'm probably screwed up my computer. Here we go. Can you see that Kilcleaf pin there? And the Strangford Lighthouse, which is the photograph I took.
Yeah.
I initially thought that this here, which is the Ards Peninsula, I thought that's what was behind it. But for the first time I've ever seen the Isle of Man. So
clear.
It's so that all that land behind it, it's so clear, and that's the Isle of Man. That's how clear we are.
So basically, So basically, if it's the first time you've ever seen it, then their argument must be that it must have loomed up from behind the curve of the Earth because you can't always see it. Therefore, it's refraction, right?
It it's so clear at the moment in Ireland. I've never seen it this clear.
Or perhaps the visibility just allowed you to see it because there was less obstruction in the air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clear day. Very clear day, right, Mark?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but this isn't a punchline. I went further down the coast, and I went to the Ardglass golf club and looked over the Irish Sea. Now I need some help on this one. Am I seeing what I'm seeing? This boat here, I think this is a superior mirage that I've got actually. You see the two the forward and rear of the boat and like a red hull. But
Looks
you've got
like
a
Morgana.
yeah, a line above it.
That's the boat reflecting above it in a Fata Morgana.
Yeah, that's right. So
Now,
that was,
do you see the horizontal layer of atmosphere above the inversion as well?
yes.
On the ball, they call that atmospheric ducting, which is where they claim it's bouncing all the way around the Earth, and that's why you're able to see it. But what it appears to be to me is that that's the layer of the dirty air, and that's where it stops. Might not be right, but they say the explanation on the ball is atmospheric ducting.
Yeah, okay. I know that's not land. It's something, but it's not land.
Fake.
However, behind
Fake.
it,
It's fake.
sorry,
You're faking it.
I'm faking it. Yeah, I'm faking it. Yeah, I took loads of photographs across the Irish Sea towards. Sorry. Control 0. Towards England. There's the boat there in the far left. See that boat there? That's the boat there. That was taken just a few minutes later or a few minutes earlier. I don't know what it was, but this time I've not got what do you call it? The superior mirage?
It looks like a Fata Morgana.
Does it? Yeah. Okay. Now somewhere along there, and I've been looking for this for months, is the Chicken Stack Lighthouse, and I actually got it.
So it's loomed up from behind the curve of the Earth. Loomed.
There she is. There. I'm gonna have to just whack up the contrast so you can actually see it.
I can actually see it.
Sorry.
I can see it already before you do it, but
Yeah.
it'll need to be adjusted for other people to see it.
Now, 4 of my photographs actually caught this. You can see it's going red now.
Yep.
Yeah, and there seems to be a line within it as well. Now, this is pretty significant for me. I've been waiting for months to try and catch this. Now, according to where are we going now? Where are we going? There we go. One day I'll get the hang of all this.
So this is going to end up being what you see here is a mirage.
Yeah.
It's not really there. It's a figment of your imagination.
But it's 36 miles away. And it actually goes down, right down to sea level. It's a rock in the middle of the sea. And I'm trying, that's what's happening here. Let go of that. Whenever you need it, you can't find it, eh?
Shout out to Chris Monk-Selly in chat.
That's what. Hang on with me, folks. I'm looking for something here.
Take your time. It's no pressure.
142 people are watching. No problem.
What am I looking for now? We're looking for downloads. Downloads, which is downloads here.
It's actually 169.
We're losing people. 168.
I'm boring people now, am I?
167.
It's all your fault. Losing the audience, Mark. No pressure.
Right. This is the General Lighthouse Authorities. That this is 2015, but it's produced, I think, every 5 years on how to identify different lighthouses, the color and the flash patterns. So if I just could Control F and find Chicken Rock. So. Next. Here it is. This is the list of how to identify what you see around you. And Chicken Rock is, it was orange. Can you see that there? fourth one down. And if you move along, it's got your latitude and longitude, and its range of 21 nautical miles. It can be seen 21 nautical miles for any boat, but that's the minimum. It can actually be seen at 38 miles, but I was looking at it from 35 miles yesterday. And I was probably about 30 feet above the water. So that has satisfied me, because I've been looking for this thing for so long.
Yeah, I remember. You thought you'd caught it a couple of times and all.
Yeah, but I definitely have this time.
Yeah,
it's definitely chicken rock.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So when you say that satisfied you, what has that satisfied you? That what?
When you're looking across the water, you don't know exactly what you're seeing. I mean, so many times, oh yeah, that's it, and then further analysis, and then somebody else's second opinion. There's a doubt. No, you've not quite got what you were looking for, but I know this time that I got what I was looking for.
And how satisfying is it when you find it?
Oh, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
But the bigger question is, do you agree that the opposing argument is what you see here is a mirage? And if you do you realize that? Well, do you accept what they tell you is a mirage, or do you see it for what it is? Do you think that you're seeing it because it's there?
It's what it is. I don't know how you guys do it, but you're able to identify the time and place of a boat, can't you?
Yeah, I can talk to you off air how to go through all that if you want.
So whatever this boat was, I know when I took it and where it was. So that would also give us another reference as well.
For distance.
Yeah, for distance. Yeah.
Pretty compressed at the bottom, actually. The whole of it looks very, very compressed.
What was your observer height?
About 30 feet.
So you're seeing that compression even at 30 feet. So that must be really far away then.
Yeah, it's over 35 miles away. But you can see the golf course there, can't you? That's the golf course that it's standing on. It's a very pretty golf course. Right, well, that's me finished and satisfied.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. Thank you for sharing it.
It is cool. It is really cool.
I would like, sorry, Anthony, Arwin generally talks about Occam's razor when it comes to these things. I don't know if he's still on the mic, but if he's there, in terms of what are you seeing? Is it going to be the slightly looming non-standard refraction high, or is it just there? I don't know. Can you summarise that for me, Arwin? Well, he's not on the mic.
Well, Occam's razor. You see it because there's a straight line of sight, and it's there. Slightly distorted somewhat because of the because it's beyond the field of view where all the miraging effects start because of the air being right on top, being very thick layered in that one band you can see. But yeah, either it's a straight line of sight or it's becomes very complex and things are bending to be visually where they are, yet in reality they are in a completely different position. So that makes it very, very complex, even mathematically. So
Mark,
yeah.
how far was the lighthouse?
Yeah, let's go to.
But I wanted to make a remark during Anthony's presentation, and that is that the curve calculator does not prove the globe and it does not prove flat Earth. But what it does do is it disproves the globe.
I agree.
Didn't hear you say that, but it definitely disproves it, because that is the model. That is the model that they assume, and it doesn't work. Even with all their presuppositional arguments and their systems, it doesn't work, and that disproves that it is that globe of those proportions.
Can you see that, Anthony?
Yeah, so 34.5 miles, yeah?
Yes, and if you look at I don't know whether you can see the elevation, but it's
nothing, is it?
It's nothing, it's zero.
I think we've analysed this some time ago, about 4 months ago, when you thought you'd caught it, if you remember right.
That was a different one. That was that was the one between
Yeah, it's the one in the middle between the two.
Yeah, it was this one here that we thought we'd got.
Yes, I remember analysing that.
So, but basically, what that shows is that at 34 miles, I mean, I got 41 miles, I think it was on my day when I did it, and you got 35 there. That's less than 41. Therefore, my visibility was a little bit better than yours. And even with less visibility, you were still able to see it. So I would predict that you would see it more often than you would think based on visibility, because that was less visibility than the day I got. So I'd say keep going back and having a look, you'll see it more often now that you know that you can actually see it.
Yes.
It should motivate you to go back and keep seeing it, and then you'd be like, "Oh my god!"
Mark, can you? Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
Can you just zoom out just so you can show roughly where you are? Hello, new guest, Null Gamer. Good to have you.
Yeah, how's it going, Nathan?
Good to see you.
Hey, it's Apollo 16 here.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Good to have you. And Glod, good to have you as well. Yeah, I just wanted to get the whole of the UK on the picture just because it's cool and we don't often have it. So yeah, if you can zoom out a couple more notches just so it's all in frame, just because it's nice to see that all in the UK for a change. There you go. So it gives somebody who doesn't know, this is obviously Americans and Australians watching that may not know, where the Isle of Man is. Just can you show us?
Zoom in now, yeah?
No.
Oh, sorry, right, okay.
So while it's zoomed out, just show where your location was. That's the Isle of Man, right? So then if you can show,
and then the yellow pins are this is where I live, work, and play. All these yellow pins, looking over across the Irish Sea towards the UK, and in the middle we've got the Isle of Man.
And then if you can put your hand on St. Bees, because you can see St. Bees on certain days, right?
Yeah. St. Bees is it white? Is it?
Yeah, that's it. You've got it. But yeah.
St. Bees. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can zoom back out just again so that people can see it in the scale that we're talking, because this isn't something we do very often. Actually, show people in scale, what you're looking at. But hopefully that'll give people in the audience that don't necessarily know where we are geographically on the UK. There you go. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, here come the trolls.
And then what's the name? And there's what do you call it? Elisa Craig.
Elsa Craig.
Yeah.
Elsa Craig. Yeah. So that's appeared in our discussions as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. Again, if you can zoom out. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Have you got anything else you want to add, Mark, before I go over to Ranty? Because I know you've probably got a few other things, maybe not.
No, that's me finished.
Brilliant. Over to you, Ranty.
Okay, one moment.
Then you up as well. Pretty quiet.
Hide. Right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. You haven't seen this video. This is, I went along today to film my favourite place of Barrow. This is from a 2-inch observation. 2 inches. 2 inches. And it was much clearer visually from 2 inches. I'm just going to play the video.
Hold on. Much clearer from 2 inches than what?
The 1-inch one that I caught.
Look at how them waves are obstructing what we see.
Amazing, isn't it? Perspective.
No way. You'd have thought that.
You're grasping at straws there.
It's clearly the curvature of the Earth, isn't it? Damn.
Yeah, every one of those waves is curvature.
Flat.
Oh no, hang on. Any obstruction's curvature, right?
Apparently.
Now these waves are pretty close by.
This is some badass footage.
Any obstruction's curvature is the best logo ever. That's excellent.
Isn't that ace?
That's showing off. Come on.
Where's Alan? Get your ass in here. Give him some credit.
Well done.
Well done, Ranty. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
and
that's
there's his
from
little
2
mound.
inches.
2 inch this time. Love it. Absolutely fabulous.
This is from 1 inch.
You haven't mastered focus yet, though, no?
It's kind of difficult when you're at 1 inch, mate.
Fix your focus so that it's always set to that parameter, and then you'll never need to worry about it.
Leave him alone.
He's zooming out though, so he needs autofocus to have a nice, pretty picture as he pans back out.
Exactly.
But, I'm sure he'll get a couple of stills in this that are in focus. It tends to be the way when you're videoing stuff, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, maybe
There's
not.
the only curve I can see.
The joke's endless.
Yeah.
It reminds me that that archway, you could imagine a train going over the top of it.
Why is the archway there? Is it some kind of aqueduct or something?
Well, it's
No,
demonstrating the point of perspective, but it's visually visually pleasing, and also makes your point in terms of perspective. You've got something in the near foreground, and you could technically say that if it wasn't for that hole in it, it'd be blocking out everything in the foreground. I mean, it's probably only maybe 100 meters away. I don't actually know. How far away is this from you?
It's about I would say about 50 feet, and it's only about 3 feet tall.
A bit closer than I thought then.
Yeah.
But a bit smaller than I thought. So I thought it was like a fairly substantial thing. But it's if it's only a couple
We'll
of
put
feet,
it this
3
way:
feet.
I wouldn't have been able to crawl underneath it.
Yeah, that's only because you got a massive belly.
Yeah, I know. I've put on a bit of weight. I don't care.
That curve is the best looking curvature I've ever seen.
The only curve we ever see on this show.
Yeah.
Well, this is from an inch, 1 inch. So
Awesome.
I'm looking for the curve. I'm still not finding it. I don't know if I can get any lower than an inch. I actually just get out of the way just in time. There's me little mound that I had it on, the same height as the tape measure, same depth as that.
So is it 18 miles, Ranty?
Sorry?
18 miles away, is it?
18.4.
18.4, and the viewer height in feet. So, did you say it was an inch?
1 inch, yeah. So, 0.8.
Well, it's gonna be 0. Isn't it going to be 0.2?
It's pretty low. I don't think we need to labour the point.
6 inches isn't the 12 inches in a foot? Is that right?
There is, yeah.
So therefore, 2 inches would be 1/6 of it, wouldn't it? It's going to be 20%, isn't it? So it's going to be 0.2.
No, it's
0.
0. No, it's 0.
0. Who cares? Anyway.
0.85.
0.85. Well, we'll round it up to 1. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll say 0.1 feet.
Tell you what, put me at a foot.
So the horizon, according to that, is 2,000 feet away. It's not even registering at miles now. It's now at feet. The drop is 225 feet. The bulge is 56 feet, and it's supposed to be, according to some people, half the distance between us and it. And we're not really seeing any evidence of that, are we?
No.
Can we see your dogs, Ranty?
Sorry?
Can we go onto your dogs?
Oh, the doggies. Right,
Yes,
I'll have to find
please.
that video. 1 second. Let's see where it is. I can't remember where I did it before this or after this. So.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, no worries. I did an outtake video because I actually lost track of time and hadn't realised that I stranded myself on a sandbank. And I was completely surrounded by water. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this?
Do you remember that tragedy years ago in your area where those foreigners were collecting mussels? Cockles, yeah. How long ago was that?
10 years ago, I think.
I don't think they were tourists. I think they were actually working.
Yeah, they're illegally working though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But
Ghosts.
that's how the employer phrased it. Oh, they were just tourists. Oh, you ready, Ranty?
I'm just trying to find the exact one that you want to talk about.
Yeah, no worries. You take your time. Check out my line of t-shirts on ESA. Members of the audience while we wait for Ranty.
That's very arty. Just that would be a nice picture.
It looks CGI. It looks fake, doesn't it?
You can tell it's so real because it looks so fake, right?
But what we're actually seeing here is
do you want me to present you now, Ranty?
Slant.
Hold on, I'm not presenting you yet.
Oh, you're not? Sorry.
I'm waiting for you to tell me that you're on the video you want.
Yeah, I think this is the video this will do. I've got about 6 of these, but this
Okay.
is the...
Right, you're up.
Clip.
You're up.
What we have here is we have this dog. We have the owners, somebody else.
Ranty, hurry up.
Hey, Jose.
And
Hey.
the dog is bouncing around, around its owner. He's playing with the dog. And what's happening is it's jumping in and out of the mirage layer. So it appears and then it disappears. And then part of the dog appears and then part of it disappears again. It's actually being miraged out by the atmosphere. Now, it's
looks
not
like-
going over the curvature of the Earth. It's actually being miraged out. I'm just going to play the video now. You can see there's the dog. There's its head. There's its tail. And here we go. It'll be bouncing in and out. There we go. In and out of the mirage zone. Disappearing. Coming back. It's the dog. That height is in the exact position, the exact zone that Arwin talks about. That once you go under that slant, you can't see anything. And this is exactly what this is showing. That the dog, when he's bouncing around, he goes in it and he goes out of it as he jumps up and down.
Ah, is that a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena, or is it a dog?
Almost looks like
Hyena.
he's swimming in that mirage.
Because that would satisfy the definition, wouldn't it? A slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena, but it could be a dog.
Hold on, before we get into the jokes. So, obviously, that dog is a couple of feet high. Let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's a massive dog. Let's say it's 3 foot. Let's say it's St. Bernard. So it's 3 foot high, right? The further away that dog gets, let's say it's not jumping up and down and ducking in height into this refraction layer of miraging and inferior mirages, which is what it is. You know, the bottom of it is just a mirage of the top. It's not its legs. It's the mirage of its head and tail that looks like its legs because it's in that mirage layer. However, if the top of the dog, so you forget the legs of the dog, was to just be at a fixed height and get further and further away, its angular size would reduce and it would get closer and closer and closer to this layer, which is precisely what happens when it runs after the ball. It's getting further and further away and slipping, like right now, into and out of visibility. Well, it's not going over any curve, but it is being obstructed at a significant distance in that layer. So when people say you can't get anything to disappear with perspective, well, no, you can't. You know, it's not that this thing is reducing in angular size when it disappears. It's not going a mile further away. It's just slipping in between that layer. And that is what causes the obstruction at the horizon. This band. Nothing to do with perspective in the respect that perspective itself won't make things vanish. That's why we see for a very long distance. But it doesn't alter the fact that at the circle of confusion, this optical point, you have a layer that causes things to vanish. And that is absolutely because it's very, very, very far in the distance to begin with. And you're seeing, with super zoom camera, this guy, don't move, Runty, you can see this gap is actually, you know, that's the bottom half of his body miraged on the top of it. It's pretty obvious. Same with this. This is the head of the dog. It's not its legs. It looks like a poodle. It isn't. That's its tail being miraged and all wavy underneath it. So ultimately speaking, it's just sat further away than these people where you can actually see their feet. Enough for it to be in the mirage layer. And we're talking a distance. How far do you reckon this guy is from his dog? A few meters?
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, it's enough to just see the difference, though. How far it would take between visible and not visible, between visible and miraging, between visible and completely vanishing. And it's nothing to do with perspective at this point and everything to do with the circle of confusion.
But look at also, there's two things also to observe at the bottom part of the picture that's on screen right now. Underneath the dog where you've got the sand or whatever he stood on, you also have a blue band that is obviously the sky for some weird reason, but that's being reflected underneath it. But there's a further blue band underneath that.
No, that was the tide coming in. That was That's what stranded me on the.
Oh, was that water coming in?
Bank? Yeah.
All right.
If we go back to Tim Osman and how he always shows the same old Tim Osman with his drone and he goes up and down with it.
Don't know what you're on about.
No. Sorry. Neither do I. If you have a magic drone and you go up and down, everything gets sorted because you can get your drone above the circle of the Earth.
Well, what we're saying is, if you imagine that the dog's legs were a building. Hello?
Not me.
Not me.
Not me. Who's playing?
But yeah, so if the dog's legs were a building, for instance, then they would just be miraged out. You wouldn't see the bottom of the building.
But if you get your drone out and go upwards, it'll all come back in again.
Yeah, exactly, because it changes your angle of view, your view. Yeah. And this is what Arwin's slanty, what is it you call it, Arwin? What's your slant called?
He calls it his girlfriend.
Your optical slant.
The optical slant is right where the field of view cannot narrow down any further. And that is basically the sand that you see in the upper part. That is the slant. And beyond that, miraging starts, and in this case, the dog is hidden behind a layer of reflection caused by the mirage.
Exactly.
So the further away it goes, the more of it is hidden behind the reflection caused by the mirage at that point. But if you imagine just taking away all of the miraging effects, perhaps during winter when it's colder but just as clear, the miraging will be less because there's less heat floating on top of the land here. That is probably the direct cause of the heavy reflection going on. Then you wouldn't see the miraging. You'd just see the dog and the owners just perfectly fine, and you'd see even further because things further into the distance would not be blotted out by that mirage there as well. But it's pretty much a dead straight ahead line of sight right there. And the mirage is just blocking out things further in the distance.
Yeah, can I make a guess? Can I guess that you have got your camera on your tripod for this? Because from what I see on screen right now, your mirage starts about just above knee level. So I'm guessing that's the height of the camera. Am I right?
2.5 feet it was.
He's on a tripod.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. Basically, yeah, you've got a direct line of sight between you and them. You're relatively low to the ground, and at that convergence point is where you will get your obstruction. It is as simple as that. Now, that's not to say that if there was a mountain behind them that was visible, clearly defined, that you wouldn't be able to see that mountain, but a proportion of that mountain would also be in this zone, getting ever and ever and ever smaller, while the angular size of the mountain itself decreases. The bottom of it is becoming more and more obscured because it's a more and more narrow field of view to that section of that mountain. That's why things get cut off from the bottom. It's
and because the mirage is reflecting what is above it, you can even see that with the legs and part of the dog. This mountain, the bottom part, would also be reflected into the mirage below.
Press pause, Ranty. Look at the size of them birds in the foreground compared to the people and the dog in the background. They must be huge albatrosses then, mustn't they? Look at the size of them. I mean, they're like pterodactyls and things, aren't they, without the wings spread out? They're huge.
Move your
You've got to
mouse.
watch out for them around Blackpool.
Move your mouse, Ranty, so it gets rid of the black bit.
I don't know if it does.
Oh, apparently Geo says that he's doing a little research. This curvature calculator isn't meant to be accurate. He has more accurate data, really?
Because look, the dog is gone. The dog is not visible now. It's completely vanished, right? It's not there. It's hidden beyond the miraging.
Any obstructions, curvature?
Hidden behind the curve.
In a minute, you'll see it appear. So it's not there. There, it's starting to appear. Just appears out of nowhere.
Curvature there. Any obstructions, curve.
Can you go back 10 seconds and just let it play out in real play it out in real time from there?
From here. So you'll see no dog there at all. And then out of nowhere, here we go. Oh, there it goes. There it appears. It's just appeared from underneath the mirage layer.
It's like it's swimming back in the mirage.
That must be a slightly looming non-standard refraction Alsatian.
St. Bernard.
Yeah. But there you go. Just appeared. But but it would be. It's been obscured by the atmosphere. The atmosphere has blocked it. It's not just popped up over the curvature of the Earth.
Right. That's the main point. It's not going over any curve, but it's still being obscured. So yeah, we can explain obstruction at the bottom. We can explain boats going over the quote-unquote horizon. No, being obscured from bottom up because of a narrow field of view, depending on your angle of elevation to the target.
Excellent presentation on how optical phenomena happen close to the horizon line. I mean, the convergence point. Very, very nice.
Yeah, from
very cool.
Or at least from what I'm reading right now, the curvature actually fluctuates quite a bit over there in Great Britain with the ocean. I'm looking at the Grace satellites.
You got any proof of that?
It's the wobbly Earth.
Yeah, well, well, it's not so much that it's It's just that that curvature is not exactly perfect. That was kind of assumed some time ago before they had these satellites. But after they've looked at this data, I'm reading a paper right now that says that they went over the paper and they mapped a lot of the different places, and they're kind of going over global warming type scenarios. But either way, they're mapping the sea level rise and the gravitational
Let me ask you a question.
fluctuations.
So, are you that indoctrinated that you're actually going to believe this?
No, it's just Britain and Ireland.
on,
That's
one at a
all
time.
flat, but everything surrounding it, that's curved, of course.
One at a time.
Well, no, I mean, you guys have seen because there's like a joke, but you've seen like that potato. They said like the potato Earth, and it showed like the Earth that was like all molded and smashed in and stuff.
The testicle Earth, yeah.
Yeah, that was the model that it wasn't supposed to be a model of the Earth. It was the data that the gray satellites have collected, and they got like a gravitational signature for all the different parts of the Earth. And so where it looks warped and weird was the where the gravity's kind of not doing what they expected it to do.
What kind of
And
gravity?
so it's
The
not
one-
all perfect.
Sorry to
The
interrupt.
one
What
in
kind
which
of,
in India you're basically a lot lighter,
what kind of gravity is it measuring?
significantly lighter than the rest of the Earth, right?
Hold on. What kind of gravity?
Something like that.
What kind of gravity?
What kind of gravity? I mean, it's just the regular, good old fashioned gravity. But
Which one? There's two.
Einsteinian or Newtonian?
well, from my understanding, like I keep hearing on the show that you guys say Einstein did away with Newton's gravity. That's not the case at all.
That's not what we've said.
Okay, well that my mistake then. But yeah, Einstein didn't do away with anything that Newton had come up with. He just kind of he added on to it and made it more clear on what gravity is. Although we were still not 100% sure.
No.
No, he definitely defined it as the bending of space-time as opposed to the attraction of masses. These two are mutually exclusive and definitely different. That's why I've asked you to define which one.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive.
One is the attraction of masses, the other is the bending of space-time. These two things are different.
Well, yeah, if you imagine the Einstein, the bending of space-time,
I don't
this
need
would be
to.
the
I
relationship
just need
mass
you to
has
tell
with
me which
space-time.
one. I don't need to imagine anything. Just tell me which one.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the consequence of that is the mass seeming to attract each other.
Sorry.
So it's not really mutually
Are you
exclusive.
saying
It's
that
just-
they are measuring the mass of something attracting or the bending of space-time? Which one are they measuring?
It's gravity is technically the same phenomena.
No,
Like
it's
I
not.
said,
One is the bending of space-time. The other is the attraction of masses. These two things are different.
they're not really different though.
One is the bending of space-time. The other is the attraction of masses. These two things are definitely different.
How are they different?
One is the bending of space-time. One is the attraction of masses. Those two sentences are not the same sentence. They are different. Just by saying them, it defines just how different they really are.
Now, Nathan, what he is very poorly trying to explain is that Einstein simply latched on another cause for gravity to come into existence, namely the bending of space-time being it is a circular, it's a looping circular reason causal relationship again. Like the attraction of masses is enhanced by the bending of space-time. It's just another science fiction concept latched on.
Giordano, don't move the goalpost. You asking Nathan to explain gravity to you? Really? I mean, it's nonsense.
I'm clearing it up. They're not mutually exclusive.
Consequence. One is the attraction of masses. The other is the bending of space-time. How many times have I got to say these two different things?
No, what he came in to say was that the UK suffers different gravitational forces as referenced with the testicle Earth shape. So are you trying to say that the Earth is actually the testicle shape in appearance?
No, it's still shaped. It's they say the oblate, spheroid, whatever. It's still pretty close to a sphere. It's just that the gravitational fields is not exactly where you think they would be. It's not.
Oh, right. Who gives a crap? We're not measuring any magnetic fields. We're taking pictures of stuff. So if the sphericity you assert is the same, who cares? We just see flatness.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's so irregular, then where are these corners?
No, it's not irregular, Arwin. Just some gravitational concept that he's measuring that he has no scientific evidence of to begin with. Apparently, he's measuring that concept and then telling us that that concept is irregular. Don't know how that's got any correlation whatsoever to taking pictures of a claimed sphere Earth which looks flat. But there we go. It's just a red herring, it seems.
Well, these are scientific papers.
They're scientifical, are they? Really? Excellent. First, tell me what the observed phenomenon was.
I gotta go back and there's a couple papers I was.
Don't assert something is scientifical and then tell me that you've got to go back and check whether or not it's scientifical or not. Yeah? I'll establish if it's scientific when you present the scientific hypothesis. Then we check out the systematic experimentation that has gone along with it. If you're just measuring something and comparing it to a concept you have invented without any scientifical proof, then you will be ripped a new asshole by me, dickhead. Okay?
Sure, but there's
good. Don't assert your scientifical proof here unless you can actually back up what you're saying. You understand me, Lewis? You pathetic little weasel?
It's not Lewis.
Yeah, it is. I know your voice. Don't try and blag me that you're not who you say you are because you've got a little bit of adjustment made on your desk, you pathetic little weasel. I know exactly who you are. Don't try and blag that you're not who you are. I know who you are.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, so don't lie to me, you pathetic little weasel. Don't come with scientifical proofs of anything unless you can back them up by telling me how they're scientifical, you pathetic idiot.
Yeah, well, see, with all these papers are using the great...
Papers? I'm not interested. I want to know what your observed phenomena is. I've asked you that. Don't tell me papers, you pathetic weasel.
I'm telling you what the papers are...
Tell me what the observed phenomena is, you stupid idiot.
Like I said, they're all using the data taken from these...
Not the data. Listen. Close your mouth and open your ears, you retard. I want to know what the observed phenomena is. That's all I'm interested in. Don't tell me about papers.
Well, it's the gravitational fluctuation.
So your observed phenomena is gravitational fluctuation? Are you having me on?
That's right.
Right, you don't have an observed phenomena. There is no gravitational fluctuation that you can vary, is there?
Well, no, it varies on its own. And these satellites, they work off each other.
And what's the cause?
And so...
What's the cause?
The gravity, the difference in the gravity.
Sorry, you've just said that's the effect. That's the observed phenomena. That's the effect, you idiot. Don't tell me about scientifical anything ever again, Lewis, you complete retard. That's your effect. The observed phenomena, right? What's the cause? Not the effect.
So what happens is these two satellites, they orbit the Earth.
Medic.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, so they're orbiting the Earth together, and so as soon as one changes the gravitational pull, the other one is immediately like they I think they're connected by some light, some laser that connects both of them.
Really?
And so as soon as one is pulled more or less by the gravity, the other one immediately.
So because one is pulled by gravity, so this is an affirming the consequent formological fallacy, basically.
I have an interesting question for you.
No, hold on, Arwin. So do you understand what a formological fallacy is, Lewis? Do you understand what a formological fallacy is? Do you understand what you've just done? Affirm the consequent? Do you understand that?
Well, I'm just reading the papers. I mean,
well, then those papers aren't scientifical, now are they, you idiot? That's why I asked you for your observed phenomena. Then when I asked you for your independent variable, you gave me the same answer, because you are an idiot.
Well, I can forward you these papers.
I don't want your papers. How many times do I have to spake it out to the deaf idiot that is Lewis Hackett, or whatever the hell your name is?
Sorry, Lewis.
It's not Lewis, but go
yeah,
ahead.
It is Lewis.
Okay,
do you think we're retards?
Lewis's twin brother, whoever. But
Lewis's
how
twin
can
brother,
a satellite that is in orbit and is basically outside of the gravitational pull because it's in orbit, how can that measure gravity on Earth when it's not actually subjected to gravity?
Right. That's a good question. And they actually are subjected to gravity, even though they're in orbit.
Oh, really?
Very much subjected to gravity.
Oh, of course. So, yeah, they are outside of the gravitational
I've got a
pull. They're
question
going
for you.
around it. But at the same time they are subjected to it, so they are actually falling and descending.
Well, yeah, anything that's orbiting, it's always falling. It's directly affected by gravity.
What,
Read.
orbiting? So yet another presupposition. So you say it's falling around the curve of the Earth that you're just going to presuppose here? That's what they're doing? Orbits are a presuppositional argument, Lewis. Don't you understand what a presupposition is?
I do, but my name's not Lewis.
Yeah.
So
I'll
I
call
would
you
tell
Lewis.
you that.
I'm going to call you Lewis anyway.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work if it's falling. Falling is caused by motion, basically. So if it is falling towards a mass, it presumed that the mass is causing the gravity or the bending of space-time, whatever it's going to be.
Hey, Arif,
Then that means
really
that it
you?
is moving
Hold on,
towards
Owen.
that.
Is that you,
You
Arif?
can't fall sideways and not start to approach the
Is
Earth.
that you, Arif?
Yeah, so what happens is...
I am.
Hey,
Oh, cool.
welcome back, man.
Good to see
to
you.
have you.
Long time.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while.
It has indeed.
How you been?
Yeah, so these satellites are falling towards the Earth. They're moving perpendicular, so they're fast enough to...
No, that doesn't work. Either you fall or you move perpendicular.
No, it does both. I'm not sure if you've heard of...
No, you can do
cannon.
both. If either you fall or you move perpendicular.
No,
And if
okay,
you do
so
both,
orbit...
then that means that you're falling
Here we go.
downwards.
His first
and in a
word, Arwen,
rotational
was
path.
orbit. So he's going to presuppose the Earth is a sphere that has things orbiting it. That's the first word out of his mouth. So orbits. So immediately he's back into the presupposition because he's a retard and doesn't listen to what I say.
These are expensive satellites that are...
You're not listening, retard. Orbits is a presupposition that the Earth is a sphere and things are flying around it. Did I speak slow enough for you, retard?
I mean...
Don't stutter.
This is all science fiction speculation, but even the science fiction speculation doesn't work out.
Well,
That's
it's
the
real
whole thing.
science. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Newton's cannon. Newton's cannon, it explains how an orbit would work if it were possible. He shoots the cannon.
Yeah, but
it goes
either
steady.
it's falling or it's just moving perpendicular. You
No,
can't
it's doing. That's the thing. It's doing both.
Have you done that?
That's
Hold
impossible.
on. Have you done that?
I'm sorry?
Have
I
done it?
done that? Actually, I downloaded an app on my phone, like 3 or 4 apps on my phone last night, just to, prove this.
Sorry, prove it or simulate it on a phone app.
Yeah, so for my phone, yeah.
Yeah, so you're simulating on a phone app and you think that's proof, do you?
Well, no, because the app...
This is the Globehead standard of proof. I say I want scientific evidence of something to people like Charles and Rumpus, and they say you don't need scientific evidence, it proves nothing. You could be a brain in a jar. This idiot here thinks he can download a phone app and then use it as proof.
Well, the thing is...
understand orbits, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to explain it to you guys.
You don't need to explain it, you need to listen for the 3rd time. It's a presupposition that you're on a ball with things orbiting it. It's simple. You don't do anything. You're downloading an app. What kind of... This is the level of ridiculous idiocy that we have to deal with on this panel. We ask somebody for scientific proof of things and they say that it doesn't prove anything. Yet this idiot thinks he can use a phone app.
No, that's just for me to understand.
Yeah, you've just said the word proof. Understand nothing. What, understand a presupposition? That's not understanding anything.
Well...
Do you think when you play World of Warcraft, you're understanding the world? Or are you just understanding the World of Warcraft on a phone game?
Well, no, I'm trying to explain to you guys how these satellites...
Don't explain anything. Repeat back to me. When I say the word orbit, I presuppose the Earth is a sphere.
Well, like I said, you don't even have to go that far.
Don't say you don't even have. Repeat after me. When I say the word orbit, I am presupposing the Earth is a sphere.
Well, the only thing is there's no direct evidence that isn't gleaned indirectly from something else. We're assuming that things are disappearing because of curvature, but curvature has never been directly observed as far as I can tell. And maybe there are satellites, or rather, I'd say satelloons, floating in a zone of anti-gravity ether under the dome. but you'd be more likely to have satellite orbits around a still unmoving geostationary flat object like the flat Earth, as opposed to one rocketing through space, because it has to speed up and slow down to keep up with the moving object. I mean, the orbits that were used to explain the theory of the universe now, with orbiting objects that are moving through space, was coined when the objects were thought to be still and unmoving. The Earth was thought to go around.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!